Whew. I just finished undercoating my truck and it was tiring, messy. Did I mention it was tiring? But look. It also gave us some pretty sweet results. Now you might be wondering, should I WoolWax my entire truck? Should I fluid fill my truck? Should I undercoat my truck on my own? Today's video, we're gonna take you through the process of what we did, what it took, and the outcome. And you can kind of make that decision for yourself. So buckle up, grab some paper towel, because you're gonna need some. That's a weird way to put an intro in. Oh, let's get to it. All right, so let's get to it. Right here we have, I ordered this stuff like 2 years ago. It was the Pro Sprayer Kit, so WoolWax does sell the actual wax. It's a lanolin wax. It's not rubberized undercoating. It's actually like a cavity wax. So everything it goes on, it sticks to. It is so tacky. Literally, watch this. It's now on my finger. It's super tacky. It's gonna stick to everything. Some people would say, well, that's bad. I really want like a finish that isn't tacky. The good part about tackiness is it's gonna pick up sand, dirt, and it's gonna make a protective barrier on the outside of your frame. Also the inside. Keep in mind, guys, when we're creating rust, the thing we want to happen is we want oxygen to have a reaction with salt, and we want that to have a reaction with water. Those three elements together cause rust. If we can isolate the oxygen out, by spraying WoolWax over, it forms a protective barrier. It protects your truck from continuing to oxidize. That's the whole premise. So let's get over what the heck you need to do. So, as we were talking about, we got this sprayer. We hooked this up to a compressor. A compressor is going to be a really good thing because you can't put your mouth on here and blow. That'd be super weird. We need pressured air to do that. Usually you want to spray it at about 70 to 90 psi. Keep in mind you might need a bigger air compressor, you might need a smaller air compressor, whatever you got at home might do, but this is something to keep in mind if you are going to be undercoating at home. The other thing, you can get little spray cans full of WoolWax, which can be decent, but it's not going to cover much, and so this solution I find works the best. You can also buy these on Amazon if you want. So once you do that, and you guys can already get a glimpse into how freaking messy this is. Like, I don't even know where to put this thing. I love the idea of undercoating, guys. This is going to be a theme for the video you're going to notice. It is a huge undertaking because it's so messy. So we're going to go ahead and put this here. What you'll usually get with your kit is these gallon buckets, and this has a cool little screw-on filter. And it's made to easy pour. So you can kind of see how black this is, super black. And you would just pour it out into your spray bottle and then spray it. Have I mentioned that this is messy? If I were to go ask my wife, she would say, why are you doing this in the garage? I would say, it's worth it. But is it? It's really messy. But let's continue. So, what we're going to do here, guys, is we are going to actually mix some of this black WoolWax. You can also use clear WoolWax into here. The one thing that I do want to mention before we really get started here is this stuff does not spray well when it's cold. Look at this. It's just everywhere. Doesn't spray well when it's cold. I just like, ugh. Doesn't spray well when it's cold. So what we need to do is if you come over here, and I need to be super careful not to touch anything, you want to soak your bottles in basically hot water. And so that's just going to loosen everything up so it makes it easier to spray. I don't know why I tried to clean my hands like that. I need to wipe them on something now. But let's go ahead and pour it and we'll show you the process. All right, so we got a little bit of WoolWax left in here, I'm pretty sure. So we're gonna go ahead and pour this. I wish I had a little bit of a better system for pouring, but we'll try this. Oh, there we go, look at that goop. That's not looking very thin. Like at all. You know, this might have been the one I didn't actually thin out. Damn, that is... There we go. All right, so back to what we were talking about before. Makes sense to thin this out. This is not very thin. The other things you guys can do, if you didn't thin out the big bottles, just put this sucker in a little bit of warm water for a bit. Honestly, I probably should have just poured it straight in here. This is like putting molasses through a straw. I don't know. I want to disclaim something. This is not a tutorial video. This is a how I did it, how we did it video, all right? So for those of you guys being like, I followed your steps and it took me 6 hours because it was stupid. My bad, dude. Like, my bad. So anyways, we're going to get this going here, and once that's in, we'll move on to the next step here. Holy smokes. Hey, dude. I feel like I should just put like war paint on my face or something. Like, oh! All right, so some good news here. Put this water for a bit. Dude. I think it's looser, but like... All right, I'm gonna pop this open, switch over the lids, and we're gonna finish filling this up. All right. Okay. Perfect, that's good. All right, and so this is obviously the rear of the truck. If you didn't know that, what up? But we previously WoolWaxed this about 1.5 years ago, and so you can kind of see the finish it leaves. If I were to scratch this, it takes that off a little bit as it held on dirt, which is nice. There's no rust under here. Like, look at how nice this frame is, guys. Frame is nice and black still, which we really appreciate. Not much rust. There's a little rust all around there, but for the most part, it's still good. Now, so what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be spraying the outside of the frame, but like you guys know with Toyota frames, the inside tends to rust out first. And so if we wait here, I'm gonna grab something to show you in a minute. WoolWax also sells what are called like cavity sprayers. So for example, this would go on the end of here, and you are gonna have a sprayer with a bunch of different holes on here for kind of like a 360-degree spray pattern. You can put that inside your frame. Is gonna get everything nice and coated with that WoolWax goodness. Pretty cool. And so what we're gonna go ahead and do is just demonstrate a little bit of the spray pattern. You can cover rubber seals and stuff and make sure that certain things don't get covered. That'd be cool if you did that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've done this a few times. I feel pretty confident in spraying, and I kind of know where I want to do that kind of stuff. So let's get right to it. All right, so as we talked about before, we have the compressor set to 70 to 90 PSI. Let me check what I actually have it at. I got it right at that 90 mark there. I'm not gonna lie, I have that actually way higher. What am I doing? No, it's at 90, we're good. And so all we're gonna do And so one of the things I actually noticed as I was doing this job is the previous WoolWax held up really well. And there might be a little bit of a reason for that. One of the directions they say is don't actually spray your undercarriage with like high pressure water once you coat it, because it stays on that way. One of the things I was really mindful of over this past 1.5 years is not getting in here with the pressure washer and really deeply cleaning everything. And because of that, I've actually noticed that the wax has stayed on super well. And so if you are doing this job, I'd recommend you can clean it to begin with, but after you spray it, you don't actually want to wipe all that dirt off again or get really under your undercarriage, because you have that protective film on. And so something to keep aware of is this is more of like a shield, and if you are spraying off the shield, you're actually spraying off the shield. WoolWax is a shield that seals in rust and keeps it out from expanding because it limits the oxygen, water, salt, all that jazz. Capiche caposh. And so now we're done pretty much all the frame rails. I'm gonna still go inside them with the cavity sprayer. But before we do that, we got some clear WoolWax in a little spray can here. And so these rattle cans are super nice. So if you have like shocks or something you wanna cover so they don't rust out, I have my Dobinsons in that nice teal color. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spray them. It's not gonna leave too much of a finish, but I find that's one of the only things to really protect some of your shock, for examples, from chips and stuff like that, is to cover them with the clear WoolWax. So that's where these come in handy quite a bit. All right, so I did the thing that I said I would probably do but didn't think was gonna happen. I went to pour this, it all went over the table. So we're gonna try to get this in here, but another piece of advice, if you do these easy pour cans, make sure they stay. Sometimes they just pop out from stuff, so yes, okay. Genuinely, I didn't think that this was gonna work, and I'm kind of blowing my own mind right now. Feel bad for the guy who has to live in this garage and work here all the time. That would suck to clean this up. All right, so we got the Tacoma in the shop now, and we're gonna go ahead and spray. We're gonna let Caden do this portion of the Tacoma, just because I'm also covered in crap and kind of want to break, but to show from another person's perspective how you can go about this. And so let's go ahead and spray. All right, so we're pretty much halfway done spraying the truck. So now let's ask the man himself what he thinks. So Caden, what would you say you would kind of rate this process?
Setup is messy.
Yeah.
And cleanup will be messy.
Yeah.
And doing it's not bad, it's fast.
Yeah.
But everything else is messy. So.
Is this one of those jobs where you're like, I'm glad I did this myself, or would you have rather maybe taken it somewhere?
Having the stuff, yeah, it's easy to do yourself, but otherwise, if I didn't have it all,
yeah,
I would probably take it in. So,
how much would you pay for someone else to do this?
$300. Anything over that, I'd probably look at doing it myself.
All right. All right, so now that we're finished both trucks, let's talk if it was worth it. Now, of course, we had some laughs. Of course, it was a huge mess, but I mean, it's done. And I kind of like having the assurance that I got to see my whole truck while I was doing this process. But knowing that you can do this very easily if you have a compressor, a garage, and a little bit of time, it does help to have the rear end jacked up. I mean, having a lift would be the best thing ever. But the considerations that I would say that you really need to take into account is, do you already have at least a compressor? If you have a compressor, it starts to get a little bit more worth it. But here's the big caveat. There are a lot of people in a lot of shops offering, for example, WoolWax right now for like $300 for a full vehicle. After you buy all the supplies, you're going to be over at least probably $400. So unless you have maybe 2 vehicles or you plan to do it every single year, it might be worth looking for a local undercoating shop that can do WoolWax or fluid film or another wool type based wax for kind of the range between $300 and $400. It might make more sense. This is a huge mess. It did take not too long to spray everything, but that's one of the considerations I would give. I know down in Winnipeg, CK AutoFab, they're doing WoolWax packages for like $250, $300, full frame. Awesome guys down there. I wonder if I was closer, if I would take them up on that. I like doing stuff myself because of who I am, but if I was in a pinch and I'm like, dang, I forgot to do it and it's minus 30 outside, I'm going there every day of the week. But for those of you like me who like to DIY, this was very simple, very easy, and it's very satisfying. I mean, look at that glossy frame. And so we did the Tacoma, we did the 4Runner. I would say the 4Runner's a little bit harder because of that box frame. You're gonna have to get in there with the cavity sprayer, where the Tacoma, that C-frame is so much easier to just kind of spray and pray and you're good for the rest of the day. Come on now. And so anyways, guys, that is our whole WoolWax adventure. I hope this was helpful when you're kind of making that decision if you want to do it yourself and what to look for. Don't use rubberized undercoating. That's the worst thing ever. That's just going to trap all that stuff in there and cause an even bigger reaction. So anyways, we will see you soon. If you like the video, hey, please subscribe. We got tons of this stuff coming out all the time. And stay in touch. See you guys.